Hello everybody and welcome back to a ESO Guides video. This is the final video in this series and we are going to be covering Alliance War skills in this video. So this is just the guide itself is just a compilation of different information based on class skills, races, weapon skills, armor skills, guild skills, racial skills, crafting skills, world skills, alliance and war skills, and also champion points. To kind of give you guys an idea of what everything does for you. But that's it for now, guys. I do hope that you guys stick through this video because this is the final one and you guys enjoy it. So let's get into Alliance War skills now. Now, Alliance skills are something that you have to rank up in Cyrodiil to get. But once you get enough rank, you start unlocking special abilities and stuff. Now, each tree has an ultimate and each tree has active skills, and it has passive skills, or passive skills also. So we're going to start with the assault skill. Now, assault is basically what it stands for. It's more about damage stuff and more about like going into a keep or into a town or something and trying to gain control of it. That's assaulting. Then you have support skills and emperor skills. So let's go over the assault skills. Starting with the ultimate, we have Warhorn. Now, sound a Warhorn to rally your forces, increasing max magic and max health and max stamina for you and your allies by 10% for 30 seconds. Now, one of the things I want you to know is all these skills can be used in both Cyrodiil and in PvE. They are not just one or the other, and a lot of people like to use Warhorn. Now, the the Warhorn is a great ability. It does take quite a bit of ultimate, it looks like. But you can get this pretty quick and at a reduced cost and everything else. So it increases all your stats by 10% for 30 seconds. That's pretty impressive. Alright, next one is Aggressive Warhorn and Sturdy Warhorn. These are the two morphs. The first one increases critical strikes, do more damage. So you and your allies gain major force, increasing your critical strike damage by 30% for 8 seconds. So any critical damage you're doing, it's going to be increased by 30% for 8 seconds. Now I can see why a lot of people use this inside of in trials, because they have it on a 4-man rotation, and now I can see why, but I still don't get the point. It's just if you want to speed run trials, I guess it would make it faster. Next is Sturdy Warhorn. Has increased duration and gives physical resistance and spell resistance. Now, a lot of people don't care about that physical and spell resistance. I would, because that minor ward and minor resolve does help your group in a lot of ways. Not as much as a lot of people, a lot of people say, well, it doesn't help that much. It does help in a lot of ways, and it lasts for 36 seconds. So you would be able to fire this off, build up your ultimate, fire it off again, and you would continuously be able to give your group that minor ward and minor resolve. So pretty good little ability there, but it does cost a lot of ultimate. Next up is Rapid Maneuver. Now, Rapid Maneuver, mobilize your forces, granting major expedition and major gallop to you and your allies, increasing movement speed by 30% and mounted speed by 30% for 30 seconds. Also grants immunity to snares and immobilization. This effect this effect ends if you cast any spell or an enemy on an enemy or an ally, so you can cancel it out. Now you get two morphs, Retreating Maneuver and Charging Maneuver. Retreating Maneuver also removes all snares and immobilization previously applied to you and your group. Cool. And then the other one is Charging Maneuver. Gain minor expedition when the effect ends, increasing your movement speed by 10% for 8 seconds. So not only are you going to get that 30% movement speed, but you're also going to get another 10% afterwards. That's pretty good. So if you want to move keep to keep fast, this is a great ability to use, these two. Next is Vigor. Now this is another one a lot of people like to use because it is a stamina-based ability. That means the heal over time, or the heal that it gives you is a heal over time. And it says, renews your forces resolve, healing yourself and nearby allies for X health over 5 seconds. Now this grows based on max stamina. Now, a lot of things right now is that a lot of tanks are running this. It's become the new meta for the tank scene, is to run this one, and they run Resolving Vigor, I think it is, or yeah. So this is a really cool ability, I'm not going to lie. But it does take max stamina to get this really high, so it doesn't seem like much good for a tank to be using it, because a tank doesn't get a greater stamina if you're running a meta tank. You're only going to have like a 20 to 25k. Now, somebody like me using it, where I have like a 28k, almost a 30k stamina, I would get greater effect out of this. Now, if you're playing an Imperial, you can get this really powerful. If you're playing a tank, yes, you could. But I think this would be better if it was somebody like, like I said, a stamina-based character with a really high stamina giving this out, because that means you're going to give a greater heal. Now, it does have two morphs, Echoing Vigor and Resolving Vigor. Has increased radius for Echoing Vigor, and Resolving Vigor has a heal is more effective on the caster. So you heal yourself for X amount over 5 seconds, and nearby allies for X amount over 5 seconds. Resolving Vigor is the one a lot of tanks like to use, because that first initial, your heal is greater. Next is Caltrops. This is another one that gets used a lot in meta play in dungeons. And this one is hurl an exploding ball of Caltrops that scatter all over the target area, dealing X physical damage each second and reducing movement speed by 30 seconds, and it lasts for 30 seconds. So it is a good damage over time thing. I'm not going to lie. I do see why a lot of people use it. But now you have two choices here. You have anti-cavalry Caltrops and Razor Caltrops. Cavalry one increases duration and forces mounted enemies to dismount, and it lasts for 35 seconds. And then Razor Caltrops, when the Caltrops land, enemies in the area take additional damage and are snared. So it reduces, not only reduces their movement speed, but it also snares them for 3 seconds. So they get reduced movement speed in the target area by 70% for 3 seconds, and even after that continues to reduce movement speed by 30%. So they get 70% reduced movement speed in the initial, and then 30% afterwards. That's a pretty cool ability. I'm not going to lie, it's just something I don't see myself running with. Next up is Magicka Detonation. Now this one does sound pretty cool. Curse enemies with a magical bomb that explodes after 4 seconds, dealing X Magicka damage to all enemies in the area. Each enemy with bombs radius increase the damage by 25%, up to a maximum of 250% increased damage. So each enemy within the bomb's radius increases its damage, and the maximum damage is increased by 250%. So that would be a really good one to use on trash and dungeons, to be honest. And in Cyrodiil, like, you know, throw it on a group, blow the snot out of them. So you get two morphs here. You get Inevitable Detonation and Proximity Detonation. Now this one, if the bomb is dispelled or removed early, the explosion is triggered immediately. And then the other one is you become the center of the detonation, and the cast becomes instant. So you cast it on yourself instead, and then blow the snot out of people. Next is the passive, Continuous Attack. Increases weapon and spell damage by 10%, and stamina and magic recovery by 20% for 10 minutes after capturing a lumber mill, farm, or mine, or keep. So anytime you capture those, you get this increased spell damage and everything for 10 minutes. Which is pretty long time. Then you get Reach, which is the next passive, increases the range of long-range abilities by 5 meters while near a keep. Any ability with range greater than 15 meters is affected. So it has to be one that 15 meters or more, and you get 5 meters extra. Combat Frenzy grants an additional 20 ultimate when you kill an enemy player. Now remember, these skills are mainly made for Cyrodiil, but you can use some in PvE environments. Next is Support. Support's pretty cool. There's some pretty cool ones in here. You get Barrier as your ultimate. Now remember, you got to get up to support rank 6 to get this. Invoke a defensive tactics to protect yourself and nearby allies with wards that each absorb up to X amount of damage. Now, I don't know what this is based on, if it's Magicka or whatever, but it sounds pretty cool. Replenishing Barrier, shield allies gain health recovery, so this one adds extra health recovery over 30 seconds. That's pretty good. And this is a damage shield, I'm guessing, that you cast. I don't know, I don't have any of these unlocked yet. So, next is Reviving Barrier. Invoke defensive tactics, of course, blah, blah, blah. But each time a ward dissolves, you restore ultimate and Magicka. This would be really good. This is something I'd use in a dungeon, no offense. Because if you use it and it does like it says, invoke defensive tactics, protect yourself and nearby allies with wards that each absorb up to X amount of damage for 30 seconds. That sounds pretty powerful, and it would be something I would think find more responsible to use in a dungeon. Because it reduces your group's damage taken by a certain amount by 30 seconds. So that's pretty cool. Next is Siege Shield. Create a protective shield sphere over the location that reduces damage from siege weapons by 35%. This is, more of a Cyrodiil skill. And then you get 2 more Siege Weapon Shield and Propelling Shield. Now, Siege Weapon Shield, allied siege weapons in the bubbles take less damage from other siege weapons. That's cool. And then the Propelling Shield costs less, and allies in the shield gain increased range. Whoa. That's pretty cool. Next one is Purge. Cleanse yourself and your group, removing 2 negative effects and reducing duration of any further negative effects by 50% for 6 seconds. I'm actually looking at this one saying, maybe I need to get this for my healer? Next up is the 2 morphs, Efficient Purge and Cleanse. Now, the Efficient Purge reduces the cost, and then the Cleanse, if a negative effect is removed, the target is healed for 15% of their max health. So those 2 are pretty good abilities. I like this Efficient Purge, though. I might actually put that on my healer just so I can do that to give my group, removing those 2 negative effects, which I can do, and then they can move around better and stuff like that. Next is Guard. Now, Guard is one a lot of people like to use for dungeon crawls, and it creates a life bond between you and your ally. While bonded, 30% of the damage they take is redistributed to you. The bond will remain until you recast the spell or move more than 15 meters away from your ally. So this is a really kind of a cool one that you could use in a dungeon environment or in Cyrodiil, but you basically link yourself to another person, and it allows you to be linked to them, and you take 30% of the damage they get hit for. So if you're playing a tank, this might be more efficient, because then you can do that in a dungeon. With the 2 morphs, you get Mystic Guard and Stalwart Guard. Mystic Guard, you and your bonded ally also gain minor vitality, increasing your healing received by 8%. That's pretty cool. And Stalwart Guard, you and your bonded ally also gain minor force, increasing your critical strike damage by 12%. So you have a choice here. Do you want to go with something that's going to give you greater healing effect or greater damage effect? So those 2 are pretty cool. Next is Revealing Flare. Now this one is, it launches a blinding flare, revealing stealth and invisible enemies in the target area. Exposed enemies have their movement speed reduced by 50% and cannot return to stealth or invisibility for 3 seconds. That sounds pretty good. So you have two versions, 2 morphs, Lingering Flare and Scorching Flare. Now, Lingering Flare, the flare lingers at the target area, revealing enemies that enter it. And then the other one is Scorching Flare. Enemies exposed take damage over time. So you could do this, and they're going to take extra damage over time, too, for 3 seconds. So that's pretty neat. Next up is the passives, which you have Magical Aid. Increases magic recovery by 10% for each support skill slotted. Combat Medic increases effectiveness of healing. You initiate by 20% when you're near a keep. And then Battle Resurrection decreases the time it takes to resurrect another player by 30%. So this allows you to bring up players really fast, especially if you're a Templar. That's 50% reduced speed. So yeah, these are some great abilities, I'm not going to lie. Some of them I can look at as seeing something I'd use in a dungeon. Like, I might even take this the Replenishing Barrier and put it on my allies in the dungeon, because this the ward also heals you and your allies for X amount over the 30 seconds. So it does a heal over time, but it also gives us damage reduction, it looks like, on top of it. So I might actually go farm this, like go get this skill with my healer. Next is the Emperor skills. Now, again, becoming the Emperor is apparently really hard. Unless you're a really good player, it's a really hard thing to do. And you only get passive abilities. The first one is Domination. Increases health, magicka, and stamina regeneration. Regeneration while in combat by 100%. So you get constant health, magic, and stamina regeneration by 100% all the time in combat. Next, you get Authority. Increases ultimate gains by 100%. And then Emperor, which increases health, magicka, and stamina by 75% while in your campaign. So you're going to get 75% max health, magicka, and stamina. That's going to make you like a god, practically. Then you get Monarch. Increases the magnitude of healing effects on Emperors by 50%. You're kidding me. And then Tactician. Increases siege weapon damage by 100%. Okay, you talking about being a little OP. Could you imagine this being like this if you could do this in PvE as well? Holy cow! You never die. You would solo hard mode trials. That's just nuts right there. But it's cool. I mean, if you wanna go for Emperor, that's sounds like a really fun stuff. I don't play a lot of PvP myself, and that's why I was like looking at a lot of these skills, going, huh? Because I haven't really read into these skills too much. I mean, I see people talk about Vigor and Warhorn all the time, but I never see anybody mention, you know, Refreshing Healer, or even this, the Efficient Purge, or I know it doesn't seem like, or even this one, the Cleanse, but they cost so much stamina or magic, and no wonder nobody would use it. I mean, I wouldn't, but I would use this, even though it costs 5,400. I'd use that one, or I'd use Guard or something. These sound pretty cool. And they sound like a really cool idea. So these ones here, you know, some of them sound really cool. Some of the ones in Assault even sound really good. Like Warhorn does sound like a good thing to use, but it's not, like I said, it's not something I would run on my tank necessarily. But I would think about running something like this on my support, especially when I'm running dungeons, because I do more dungeon runs than I do trials. I'm not going to lie. Because it's easier to get a group for dungeons than it is trials, and so running more dungeons allows me to be a more effective healer with this, because then I can support my group a little bit better. Especially if I fire it off before a boss encounter, we're all going to get that max magicka, max health, and max stamina for 30 seconds, and that minor ward and minor resolve. Now you guys would be like, oh, but you want to use this, we have to get the critical strike damage by 30%. Yeah, if we want to nuke it in 5 seconds, and especially with the way my tank's set up, my tank setup, and then another person I know's tank setup, yeah, the 30% extra critical damage on them is going to be insane. So, but yeah, the Vigor does sound like a good ability to have. I mean, they seem nice, but I don't think, like I said, I'd run them on my tank, because I get good heals anyways. I don't need better heals. I mean, yeah, they would be better to have these. So it's all, but I guess it's really up to the player. Now, to get these, you have to go in Cyrodiil, and you have to play in Cyrodiil to get them. And look at this, you got to be rank 4 to unlock this, or rank 5, Assault rank 5. You have to be Assault rank 2 and Assault rank 4 to unlock these different things, or Assault rank 6, or Assault rank 7, and then these ones, Assault rank 3, 9, 5, 1. Reach rank 1. I don't get it. Rank 5, Assault rank 8. So you have to be different ranks to unlock these abilities, and it takes a while because you have to do Cyrodiil. So that means you got to craft a PvP set of gear. If you guys don't know what a PvP set of gear is, it's any gear that's made with penetration on it. It's called in-pin gear, and it keeps your survivability up while you're in Cyrodiil. And while you're in Cyrodiil, you do get increased stats anyways. So that's kind of the benefit. Now, it's like I said, it's up to you. I might craft me up a set, you know, like I said, for my healer, and go in there and work on getting some of these support skills and some of the assault skills. I might go in there with my Templar, which I do go into the city all the time and work on stuff, but I don't get this unless you kill players. You don't get the ranks unless you kill players, or you're doing the, you know, capturing keeps or capturing windmills or mills or things like that. So you would need in-pin and all that kind of stuff to do it. So I don't have a lot of that on my characters, so, but it's really up to you. But I do think that some of the skills are pretty cool, and if you guys are interested in getting them, you can go into Cyrodiil and farm these out and get them for yourselves. But hey, that's up to the player. But unfortunately, guys, that does conclude the end of the series. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope that I brought you guys a lot of information, explained a lot of things, so that it helps you learn a little bit more about the game. And that's what this whole series is about. But unfortunately, that's it for now. So if you guys enjoyed this video, go ahead and hit that like button down here. That would be greatly appreciated. If you guys want to see more videos by me, which I do have more coming, it's just going to be about a week before I start doing any more or getting any more out, because I'm going to be focusing on grinding out the rest of my champion points, getting some other things for my characters so I can get them set up so I can bring you guys more builds and things like that. And I'm going to try and do like a build a week, and then talk about other content, other stuff about the game. You know, I might keep up with the tanking 101. I'll probably start doing a damage dealing 101, and I'll probably also do a healer 101 video, and more of those kind of videos, so I can explain more on how you can set up your characters to be a more efficient, support like healer player or damage dealer, things like that, and then just show you what different builds so you guys can get the ideas for take those ideas and run with them yourselves. But that's it, guys, for now. I do appreciate you guys all who's ever watched these videos. Say thank you, and other than that, have a great day. Bye.